things that we really need to focus on is when we're recording a podcast episode, and because it's not just audio, we're in Zoom and we can see each other and we put it on YouTube and Instagram and so on,
Yeah.
that while Marie's talking, I have to really concentrate on not looking like I don't want to be here. Or every now and then I'll look down, I'm checking my phone if I'm really honest. Or there might be a noise outside and I go, oh, what's that about? Like it's so bad to watch. And
Mm.
Marie, what do you look like while I'm talking sometimes?
Well, sometimes I look like I'm at a funeral, like I've got this like sad face, but I'm really intensely listening to you. I'm actually listening to you, but I'm just like that. And I need to go, oh, that's good. I need to put that little bit of a smile on, you
Oh,
know?
so let's
Yeah. So,
practice. Oh, wow.
oh,
Oh, wow.
that's
That's really good.
good.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
here. I'm
Yeah.
happy.
Well, we are happy being here and we love being here. And I think that makes sure that brings us to the topic of what it is today. And it's all about you, isn't it? As
Mm,
in, yeah, and working on you and self-care. I think it's such a great conversation to have. I feel for me, like this is an area that I'm still in the process,
yeah.
but I'm absolutely nailing this area of my life, and I love it. So I think
Mm.
let's have a conversation.
And I definitely see that 99% of our clients and the business
Yeah,
owners that we look after and come across in our
yeah,
travels need to do this better. They
so
definitely
do.
need to do this better. And, you know, look after themselves on a big scale by taking time off, on a small scale by going to
Mm,
Pilates and eating better or whatever
yeah,
it may be. But that 1% every now and then have taken self-care to a whole new level that their business suffers. I know that every now and then we've had to say to a client, yeah, it's great that you've got a wonderful balance and you're only working in that business 1 day a week, but you can't afford it, love. Get back on the
no,
floor.
exactly. And it's not even, it goes to the extreme, doesn't it? It's like they've gone, oh, I really like this world I've created. But really, what do we say? A good 20, 25 hours on the floor is still really manageable. And some people have gone completely the other way, and it doesn't work sometimes. So you've got to get that balance as such right of what works in your business.
Mm,
Yeah. Mm.
absolutely. I think when I think about self-care and putting myself first, I've got this unfortunate pattern, and I was only speaking about this week with our clients
Yeah.
that I run myself ragged, run myself ragged, get stressed and burnt out, and then I make huge change. And then I run myself ragged, run myself ragged, make huge change. Whereas the thing that I'm really committed to working on is making little adjustments every day, every week, because it's almost like a lack of self-awareness that I can have sometimes. And you pop your head up one day and go, I hate this, what I've created. I'm
Mm.
exhausted. I'm buggered. I'm burnt out.
Yeah.
Whereas, and maybe it's a symptom of having a busy brain as well. I've got a very busy
Yeah.
brain.
It
Mm.
definitely can be. And I think sometimes if you've got to the point where you've been burnt out or you're exhausted, it takes that to make the changes and make the changes for the better. Like we really need to think about ourselves first. Like no one's going to fix us except ourselves. Like we need to be the most important person when it comes to thinking about, well, how am I going to make it better? Mm,
Absolutely. So I
mm,
think one of the things, like at the most basic fundamental of starting to look after yourself and being committed to your self-care
yeah,
is thinking about your week.
yeah.
And one of our past coaches, Taki, said this beautifully. He said, think about your week as Neapolitan ice cream.
Yes,
So,
that's
in
it.
those three segments, so chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry,
Mm,
and it needs to be working on the business, working in the business, and downtime. And there needs to be really defined boundaries between those three. And
mm,
he said, often he comes across business owners and it looks like that ice
yeah.
cream container's been left out in the sun and it's all melted and jumbled together. Yeah.
like this, like a wish wash, eh? Bit of a
Yeah.
wish wash. Yeah,
Do you have
yeah.
your window open, or is there a ghost moving that tree in the background? It's
No,
freaking me out.
it's actually the heating, Jay, and it blows every now and again, and it gets the little wind blows the plant.
Mm.
So that's all. Not a
It's
ghost.
it's freaking me out.
It's all
Mm.
good. It's all
All
good.
right. So where was I? I think you're definitely better at boundaries than what I am when it comes to switching off. I think one thing that I've always observed about how you manage your time is that you can finish work at 5 o'clock and go, bang, I'm into Marie's time now. Like
Mm.
you're really good at getting yourself into a headspace and out of a headspace really quick. Um, have you had to practice that, or is that just how you are?
No, I am a little bit like that, but I have been in a position where I just took like on the salon floor until Lisa, our coach, said to us one day, "How many hours do you work on the floor?" I said, "I don't know. I don't count them."
Mm.
And I think that's often the case. And one
Yep.
of the things that when I actually sat down and started to count the hours, I thought, oh, okay, maybe that's why I'm tired doing 65 hours physically with clients. And for me, I didn't have the small children, so I didn't have to go home, and be home by 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. So it didn't matter if I stayed till 7 and go home and have dinner. Like to me, it didn't matter. And then if you did a late night in the salon, we had a few late nights, but if I did 2 late nights on the floor, Craig would know that I was working late. So we just kept going. And, Saturday was busy. So you do extra clients before and after hours. So I think for me, it started with I needed to make a change. But I've also been someone that when I need to do something, and I think this is the part that I've got better at, is I get someone to help me and be accountable. So example, when you all joke that
Yep.
Jackie's in my diary for like a walk, that walk is actually diarized, but
Yes.
it's diarized for the fact that she's going to be waiting for me because I've
Yeah.
made the time with. So I find if you do things with people, it puts this, well, stop. So it's no different if you had kids, Jay. Like, when you go, it's 3 o'clock, I have to pick the kids up because Jeremy's not doing it today. You've got to switch off because the kids are waiting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's someone waiting for you is a really good way to start putting some self-care into your own diary as well.
I suppose that's a good point. Like I'll say to clients every now and then, you need to say to your husband, you need to say to your team, I need your help with this. Because if you can't be trusted by yourself to follow through and be accountable to yourself, you need to enroll people to support you in that.
Mm,
So yeah,
yeah,
that's a good point. I think that there's two things that I think of, which is you need to take holidays, so annual leave, and we always say minimum 6. So 4 because you work on the floor, and 2 because
yeah,
you're the owner and you take on the weight of the business. So minimum 6. But if you've got 2 weeks off in a
yeah,
month, you
yeah.
shouldn't be running yourself ragged for that month to warrant having the 2 weeks off. You shouldn't have to fall over the finish line because how you have created your week is
Mm.
exhausting.
Yeah, that's right. And then you
Yeah.
come back and it's just the same. I think
Yep.
why is it like that? Like you're building a business where the clients only rely on you. And I think that's probably the starting point of how do
Yep.
you train your team and hand some clients across so that they are those clients that will go to you, they'll go to another team member and they're flexible. We train the client in a salon situation to be um, only a fan of Marie, only a fan of Jay. So if you train the client and don't say, I'd love you to have an appointment with Jay today. And they go, oh, so they already trust you. So that's how I handed the clients across to reduce my hours to 15 hours a week. And that took time, but I did
Yeah.
it. And I think that's a key to giving you back some time for yourself is not being the ball hogger. And that's a really big lesson to learn for a salon owner. Yeah.
I think for me, I hogged the ball because I was better than my team. Yeah.
Mm. But
So,
that's up here
eh,
too. Like it's
yep.
what do you do about that? You've got to do something about that to make that change because you can be
Yep.
better or you can teach them to be better than you. And that's what I did.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
and I think one that I had to change my belief. So
Yeah.
100% it was up here. I had to change my belief that they just haven't had the
Mm.
training that I've had. So
Yeah.
I had to invest the training so they became better than me
Mm.
because being told by a coach that you need to put clients with your team, you need to put clients with your team, you almost, within yourself, you're doing that client a disservice. You're
Yeah.
saying, oh, they're just as good as me, but you don't believe it. So you need to bloody train them so that you do
Exactly.
believe it. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, but it was interesting when I started to give all of the clients to the team and the
Yeah.
clients loved the team, then that bruised my ego because I'm like, what about me? But that's what I asked for. So, but I'm a complex beast. There's
I
lots of
went
layers
through
to this
that.
onion. Mm,
Yeah, I went through that as well. I remember clients would walk in and walk past me and say, "Hi, Marie," and it was like, oh, then I was excited to see me anymore. But I think what it was that training and education, and I think beauty therapy or hair, having someone else be beside you, so you could have, maybe it's a junior team or a senior team member. Work them aside you. So, for instance, if it's someone coming into a beauty room to do a complimentary hand massage and just to have that touch, and also having conversation while you're putting foils in and handing up, like just a simple thing like that, they then start to say, oh, actually, now I know Jay. Oh, yeah, I'm happy to have Jay. And I
that's
think
right.
that's what makes the difference for you to feel better in yourself, to say,
Yeah,
okay, I can do this.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, yeah,
So if we go back to there's two things there. There's making sure that you've got time to work on the business, in the
yeah,
business, and have downtime so that your
yes.
week isn't exhausting with how it is, so that you're desperate for holidays. But also, I think it's that mindset of in the hair and beauty industry, for an owner to take 6 weeks off, you need to book it in or else it'll never happen. But also, if you have a look at a month and you
Mm.
usually do a $40,000 month, for instance, and the owner takes a week off in that month, okay,
Yeah,
the month still should be 40,000 because
100%.
and even if you're a big earner, you're doing 5 or 6 thousand a week in revenue
Mm.
yourself, it's
Hmm.
not like you miss out on that 5 or 6 thousand.
Mm.
So say you will take week 3 off of the month. It just means that week 2 is going to be bigger and week 4 is going to be bigger when you get back. Or your team cop some of the load while you're away. They look after some of your clients when you rebook them. But your month should still be 40 grand. But I think we
Mm.
focus on, oh, it's only a $4,000 week when I'm away. But what
Yeah.
about week 2 and week 4? You got to look at the bigger picture. So
Yes.
financially, you have no excuse to not taking time off.
Yeah. I think we see a lot of people do this, and you and I have also done this, I am sure. It's, I'm exhausted, I need to have a holiday, and you book it in 3 or 4 weeks rather than actually planning it out. And like you mentioned at the start, like if you actually planned out, like what we do now, we get to around this time of the year, that September, October, and then what we do is we start to look at what does the next 14 months look like? What are your holidays, Jay? What are mine? I think if you sat down and did that, and then what we do with our team is you could do the same with your team in a salon is um, let's come together, talk about it over Christmas with your family, your partner, and let's come to our first meeting, even if it's with our first lot of holidays locked in the diary, so that not only we have our team with annual leave, but we actually have ours set in concrete as well. And then you can have your time because you're actually having it when you want and no one's overriding over the top of it, because everyone in your team, it happened to me, I'm sure it happened to you, Jay, didn't everyone book a holiday except for you until last minute?
Yeah, mine always fit around everyone else's. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Mm.
planning. It's definitely doing that prep and the plan.
Mm. So you think about, so you've got two tasks from this. You've got to book in your annual leave. Um, Particularly if you've got kids, like what do you do on school holidays? It's a nightmare. So you need to book in your annual leave.
Yep.
Um, at least 6 weeks for the year, but you
Mm.
also need to optimize your week in a way where it's not exhausting. And I think the first thing is boundaries. And that's something that I've struggled with over the years is being a yes person and saying yes to things. And because you have that fear of not wanting to let people down. So you let things
Mm.
slip and you think, oh, yeah, put that in my diary. I don't mind doing that on the Tuesday, what that I have off. There's another person. I'll put them back to back on the Tuesday. So I'll just get the two people done in the day.
No.
Like it snowballs and snowballs. Like it's still a lesson that I have to be very conscious of myself. Um, but it doesn't matter how good your plan is and how well your week planned and how good your
Mm.
annual leave is, because if you don't have those good boundaries and you cheat on those plans, the plan's not worth anything, is it?
No, not at all. And I think that, even comes back to just what do you put in apart from holidays, because holidays are often distant apart, aren't they, from when one is to the next one? What are all of those smaller things like we talk about, having micro holidays, not just big ones. It could be weekends away and things like that. But the self-care things for me, I was listening to a girl that I go to training with this morning, and she went to a beautiful retreat. Her girlfriend admittedly had bought her a voucher, but she still had to put in for that voucher, and they've rebooked themselves from that time. And that's, having that self-care time every 6 months. She's mapped in another time, and it was sitting down after this beautiful, I think she had a massage and a facial, and just stopping afterwards, and they sat down. I think they had some lunch and things like that there. So it's booking things in. I'm a great one for it. Have a coffee with me and I rebook you back in, whether it's a walk and a
Hmm.
coffee. Like, I'm really big for that, because I think, to have that emotional connection to like your friends and connecting. So many people say, I just don't even get time, or it's been so long since we've seen each other. Like, rebook them. Some of my girlfriends are dinner people. Some of our friends come to our place for dinner parties. Some I walk and talk. So I think you've got to work out what works for you and for each person, and blending that into your life. Stop saying you don't see your friends. Make a time and book it in.
Mm. I
Yeah.
think that when I really started to have a good understanding of how much I'd let this slip, it was not last year, the year before, maybe.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um, I was on an aeroplane,
Mhm.
and I don't know, maybe my phone was dead. I didn't have an iPad. There was no screens in the back of the seat, so it was obviously a poverty airline. And I thought, what am I going to do for 2 hours? And I thought, I know, I think I've got a book on my phone, like PDF or whatever. And it was
Oh yeah.
about time management. It was Kate
Yeah.
Christie's book. What was that called? Can't
Yeah.
remember.
Is it the Me First one?
Oh yeah, well, this is called You First, Me First, same thing. It'll be there
Yeah.
somewhere. You're looking for it, are you?
Yeah, I've got it somewhere there. Yeah, I'm
Oh
pretty sure
yes.
it's Me First. Yeah, it's a ripper.
May 1st. So I started to read this PDF or book and whatever it was, and there's like a bit of an audit process where you can
Yeah,
rate areas of your life out of 10. So it was
so
like
good.
intimacy and love and
Mm.
relationships and friendships and quality time and time off and what your personal goals were. And it was actually really confronting. I thought, like, if I was at home, I probably would have been in tears, but I was sitting in between Jerry and Beverly on Jetstar. And I rated so low in every area in my personal life, but I was probably 10 out of 10 everywhere area in my business life.
Mm.
So I think it made me realize that the same as clients, you can grow a really successful business and
Yeah.
profitable business, but
Hmm.
fucking hate your life.
Mm. Yep.
You can really hate where you're at, yeah,
Yeah.
personally. And it was only this week, Marie and I were having a conversation about different clients at different revenue levels.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, our clients that are at 2 million plus a year, I would not trade their place with a client that's at 900,000 a year. Not
Mm.
in a heartbeat. And
Yeah, it is.
that's,
It's different, isn't it? I think it's that, that different level, isn't it? They say, you get to a million in revenue, but there's a new set of skills that you need to get to the next million, but even the next 300,000, like that skill is unbelievable what you have to do to get to that next 300,000. And I think it depends whether you want to put that effort in. And some people just go, I'm happy here. And I actually think that's fine too, Jay. I'm not one where your business needs to be at $10 million a year and you need to be doing this and doing that and, be on stage at everything. I think there's a place where you feel happy, and that's okay.
But I think it's that, when anyone that has scaled their business up big before,
Yep.
and then it's gone back to where it was, deliberately or not deliberately, you haven't become the person that you need to be to run a $2 million business.
It's
And,
true.
it's easier to go back to 1.5 than what it is to learn the skill and make the conscious decision that I need to become a leader of a $2 million business. And that's when you don't scale efficiently. You just, doing the payroll for $1 million a year is a very different ball game from managing $100,000 worth of wages.
Yeah, that's exactly
But
right.
also at $2 million a year, why are you doing your own payroll? So it's things like that as well. There's more
Yeah.
pressure on having your 26 team members all doing their $4,000 a week and managing that rather than just having 3 people doing 4,000 a week.
Yeah.
So
So true.
yeah. So
It's
it's
finding what you want, isn't it? Like really digging deep about what you want and thinking about, like when you think about self-care and looking after you, I feel like it means so much to so many different people, is because you can be doing self-development and working on something else to grow your skill to get to that next level. And it might be you actually don't want to do that. So everyone's self-care could be a little bit different.
absolutely. And really only you can answer that. But I think when, like what you were saying before, Marie, is that yes, it's about the big things. It's about the holidays and the retreats in Bali. Go to our
Yeah.
website. We're hosting a retreat in March 2025. Still got places available. Payment plans available. How's that? How's
Yeah,
that
that's
for
good.
a
Well, the
hard plug?
retreats were great, and I think that helped so many people with, mental health, emotional, like where they were at in life. Like when we did that Bali retreat, the amount of people at our last one said, "This has changed my life." Like, and I think it has, and the reason it does is because so many people don't stop.
Mm,
And that's why we started to run them, because we realized that even generally from a salon owner point of view, you just keep going. And then when you do stop, whether it's, being a mum, whether it's and being a parent, being a business owner, you have to have some stop time. And unfortunately, we just keep going and keep going and keep going.
yeah.
And when you do stop, it makes you start to think. So, yeah,
Mm,
it's interesting, isn't it? I do myself, I remember going to a health retreat. I'd have to say it was 20 years ago, over in
mm.
Perth. And it was the most I still talk about it today, because
Yep.
it wasn't a fancy one. It was in Gidgegunup. I always remember the area. It was in the middle of nowhere, and it was just so quiet and so peaceful. You couldn't even hear like a pin drop. Like it was just beautiful, and it just made you stop. So I think you do need to find something that gets you to not just slow down, it's slow this down a bit as well. Like it's our brains just keep going, don't they?
Mm. But it's interesting, like, of course, the Bali retreat that we hosted made a huge impact, massive impact on
Huge,
people. But it's
huge.
what you do with those learnings afterwards. And there's one person that attended our retreat. Her name's Claire. She's a rock star. And I don't know, maybe 6 weeks after the retreat, she sent both of us a message, or just me, I
Message.
can't remember, but she
Yeah.
sent one of us a message, and she said, I've made so many changes and I think differently now, about X, Y, and Z. And I thought that's what you need. It's not just about going on a couple of retreats and feeling good for a week. It's making those changes and having the motivation to follow through and changing the
Yeah.
daily habits, you know?
That's exactly right. It's
Yeah.
habits. It's let me refer to that other book. Actually, I think it's on my bedside table. It's The Habits. I can't think of the book, The Habit Man, but it's having those habits every single day. And it's actually the smallest habit that makes you go into the right direction when we talk about self-care. So sometimes it's even small things, like when you get up in the morning and you open your blind and you go and put the coffee machine on. It might be that you open your blinds and you actually light a candle, and all of a sudden there's a self-care element in there. So it can be small steps and it can be bigger steps that you take.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I've been doing, Marie? I don't think I've told you this. I'm going to pick up my device that I'm recording this on.
Okay.
I
This could
keep
be
my yoga
interesting.
mat there. I keep my yoga mat there all day.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I need to Google this, but the origin of the yoga pose downward dog.
Mm-hmm.
If I let my dogs in here right now, I can guarantee you they would do downward dog on that yoga mat. They
Yeah,
lift
they all
their bum in
do.
the air and they put their front legs down. And I think, is that where it originated from? I need to Google that. I'm not going to Google it now. But
Well, I'll
it's
tell
that
you my
stretching.
secret. Do you want me to
Oh
tell you my
God.
secret?
I don't know. Is it about putting your legs behind your head? Because I don't know if I want to know.
No. So I don't have a yoga mat, but I've always got
Oh,
my sneakers on.
oh.
And so all day at work, sneakers, and because the thing is, if you need to work out how you can form a habit, whatever that might be. So even if you're in the salon, if you take your sneakers to work and you go and do a couple of walks around the block in your lunch break, rather than sit in the tea room and just think, oh, I can't be bothered after lunch because you've eaten, your meal, just keep going, eat your lunch quick, keep going. Like, and just keep, I think it's important to do that. So, for you and I working from home office, I can go out the back, I can go up the steps. And if I did that in my lunch break and did that 10 times, you've done some exercise to get your heart rate going. So you've just got to find these little habits of where you can fit things in for your mental health, your physical health, emotional, whatever it is. Yeah.
I think as much as people, you would have read the description of this podcast and thought, oh yeah, that's what I need. None of this shit is new and stuff that you haven't heard before.
No.
No. So that's when we think about the thing that I think is really the most important thing here. If we skip into our segment of what's hot and what's not hot, I think what's hot is extreme ownership. You need to own
Yes.
this. And no one's going to tap you on the shoulder at 6 a.m. and say, you should be stretching and lighting a candle, love. Like, no one's coming to save you. You need to make this decision for yourself.
Exactly. Like Mel Robbins always says, it's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, out of bed, high five yourself in the mirror. Like, no one's going to get you to do that. You've got to do it yourself, and you've got to have that in you to remember something, whatever makes you get up. She says, make your bed, like do that first and you'll never get back in it. I think find the thing that actually works for you. So yeah, definitely extreme ownership, Jay. I think what's not hot is being a people pleaser. Because when you're a people pleaser, you've done it and I've done it, is, yeah, come in, I'll fit you in. Come in, yeah, no problems. I'll squeeze you in, no worries. Like, and it's saying yes to your team, and it's saying yes to people around you, yes to family, but really you're not looking after yourself.
Yeah, and look, I think at different points in your life, it's easier said than done, isn't it? Like, I know
Oh,
that there was
yes.
there was a meeting that you said, "Can you come to this meeting this week?" And I was just about to say, "Yeah, no worries." And I thought, "No, I don't want to be there." So, "No, I'm not coming, Marie." And you said, "No worries."
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then
and
it
it
was
works.
then it was the guilt that I felt after that of saying no. But
Oh,
you move on from it pretty bloody quick.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I think the thing is, most people aren't going to get offended if you say, like, if they care about you, which most people in your circle should, then they're not going to say, if I said to my girlfriend, just say I'm catching up with her tonight, I'm actually really tired and I just need a night at home, she's not going to crack it. And I think that's what we need to realize. If anyone in your life, you can't say, can we not do that tonight and can we make another time? Usually you can move things. And I think if you always remember times where worst scenario happens, whatever it might be in your life, and you've got to go emergency, you seem to fit that in. So when it's a true emergency compared to just saying, yeah, let's do it, and just keep taking that on, you've got to
Yeah.
put the walls up, the boundary up, and say, I actually can't do it. I can't do that today. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Mm.
It's like that saying, Marie, that the only people that will be really disappointed or crack it with you when you actually fight for your right and put your boundaries up are the people that were benefiting from you not having boundaries in the first place.
Yeah.
And you don't want those people in your circle.
Not at all. Not at all. No.
They can bugger off.
Exactly. Well, you need to be on the same page. Otherwise, they're not your friends, are they? They're not the people that you want to be in your business. They're not on the same, in the same values as what you have. And they don't want to be working in a place where you have those boundaries and they don't have them. So, yeah.
You know what those people are? You know, when you watch a documentary, Marie always gets worried when I think of these analogies. Shut up, Marie. You know, when you watch a documentary and there's a shark swimming in the ocean and they're very grateful. And they've got those little scavenger bastard fish that kind of hide underneath them and swing along and they feed off the scraps and they use you for protection.
Yep.
Those are some people.
That's a good analogy. I love that analogy. It's good.
Good, but you were worried. You thought it was going to be dirty, didn't you?
I actually thought you were going to swear really loud or something.
Oh, God. No,
that's good. That's a good, very good analogy. Yeah, definitely think about
what are they called? Let's Google it. What are those little fish that, what would I write? Follow shark that's come up on Google that swim under sharks. I'm going to call you this, Marie, because you absolutely drain me. Remora fish. The remora fish usually attaches to the shark's underbelly to eat scraps. They benefit. They benefit the shark by eating parasites on the shark's skin. Okay.
Oh, there you go. I don't think I eat parasites, let's just say.
No. But yeah, some people, I think, are remora fish and they need to bugger off.
They do.
They need to go away. Anyway, that was fun.
Take some self-care for yourself. That's what we need to do. Mark some time, make some time, put it on repeat. What needs to work for you so you can stop feeling like you're burnt out and exhausted.
And come to our Bali retreat. Is it inappropriate to plug one of our services?
Not at all. Bring it on.
Can you hear my dogs barking?
Only just.
Oh, that's good. They're being mongrels. The Bali retreat's amazing. I think it shows you where people are at with their commitment to themselves. So some people, like there's one person in particular that, it was a massive decision for her to take time away from her business and her family. Like,
yeah, it was.
You know, I think it was her first time away from her business and her family. And yeah, very nervous and felt very guilty. Of course, she absolutely loved it, so that was handy. But whereas, like I booked a trip to Bali, and then when Jeremy got home, I said I'm going to Bali in a couple of weeks. He said, "Oh, good, give me the dates." So you know, it's everyone's at different levels of giving back to themselves, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I think the past ones have filled, and you know that next one, I'll just quickly look up the dates. The 16th, isn't it? 16th of March to the 22nd of March. And just you build great connection, and you really take that time out, and it's important, and implement the learnings, like you said, Jay, when you leave, and that is the absolute key to going to something like that. Yeah, it's the follow through. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Happy Wednesday, Marie. Thank you. It's a pleasure as always.
Thanks, Jay. Always make sure that you follow us and like our podcasts.
And give us a bloody 5-star review or whatever it is. We ask every time and none of you follow through. Maybe you drop off and you get sick of hearing us halfway through. But leave the review. It's so good for us. Thank you. Bye-bye.